For years, Rachel Maddow and the Democratic establishment had built a powerful media narrative, one that shaped public opinion, controlled discussions, and silenced opposition. But tonight, everything was about to change. Dear listeners, before we move forward, please subscribe my channel to hit 1,000 figure. Tulsi Gabbard had always been an outlier, a Democrat who refused to play by party rules, a veteran who put America before politics. While others followed the script, she spoke the truth, even when it cost her. And now, she was about to expose something that the Democrats never wanted the American people to hear. Sitting across from a prime-time news anchor, she took a deep breath. The cameras were rolling, millions were watching, and the moment had arrived. "Let's talk about the truth, Rachel," Tulsi said, her voice calm but firm, because the American people deserved to hear it. Rachel Maddow shifted uncomfortably in her chair. She wasn't expecting this. The studio went silent. And then, Tulsi dropped the bombshell. The air in the studio grew heavy, the kind of tension that made even the most seasoned news anchors break a sweat. Rachel Maddow, usually in control of every interview, leaned forward, her forced smile fading. She wasn't prepared for this. Tulsi Gabbard met her gaze unwavering. She had spent years watching the corruption unfold, the lies being fed to the American people. But tonight, she was tearing the mask off. She exhaled and said it clearly, without hesitation. The Democratic Party isn't what it used to be. It no longer stands for the people. It stands for power, censorship, and control. And, Rachel, you know it. The studio went silent. Rachel's fingers curled slightly on the desk. This wasn't how the interview was supposed to go. "That's a bold statement, Tulsi," Maddow said, forcing a chuckle. "Are you saying the Democrats are corrupt?" Tulsi tilted her head. "I'm saying they lie. To all of us, to the American people. And you help them do it." Gasps could be heard from the studio crew. This wasn't just political criticism. This was an all-out declaration of war. Rachel blinked, trying to maintain her composure. The earpiece in her ear crackled with desperate producers trying to redirect the conversation, but there was no stopping it now. Tulsi leaned forward. "The people deserve to know the truth, Rachel, and I'm here to make sure they hear it." The fight had just begun. Rachel Maddow's confidence wavered for the first time. She wasn't used to being on the defensive. Her show was supposed to be a controlled environment, where guests followed the script, where the Democratic narrative remained unchallenged. But tonight, Tulsi Gabbard had flipped the script. Rachel straightened her posture, forcing a laugh. "Tulsi, let's be honest here. The Democratic Party is fighting for democracy. They're protecting America from disinformation and dangerous extremism. Are you really suggesting otherwise?" Tulsi's eyes didn't blink. She had heard this line before. "Disinformation," she repeated, her voice cutting through the tension. "That's the word they use when they want to silence people who tell the truth." The audience stopped shifting in their seats. The camera crew held their breath. Even Rachel hesitated, realizing she had walked into a trap. Tulsi continued, her voice steady. "They called me a Russian asset when I ran for president. They called parents domestic terrorists when they stood up for their kids. They censored journalists who dared to ask questions about Hunter Biden's laptop." She leaned forward, her words like a sledgehammer. "The Democratic Party isn't protecting democracy, Rachel. They're controlling it." Maddow's lips parted, but no words came out. Tulsi wasn't just exposing the system. She was exposing Maddow herself. And for the first time, the audience could see it. The truth was out. Rachel Maddow was cornered. The usual talking points, deflections, and political spin, none of it was working. Tulsi Gabbard wasn't just debating her. She was dismantling the very foundation of the mainstream narrative. And now, millions of Americans were watching. Rachel forced a tight-lipped smile. "Well, Tulsi, that's quite the accusation. But the Democratic Party is standing up against authoritarianism, wouldn't you agree?" Tulsi shook her head. "No, Rachel. They are the authoritarianism." The audience gasped. Tulsi continued, unapologetic and unshaken. "They censor speech. They silence dissent. They use the FBI against political opponents. They blacklist journalists. And you," she pointed at Maddow, "are their mouthpiece." Rachel's expression hardened. Producers screamed in her earpiece, "Shut this down!" But it was too late. Tulsi leaned back, letting her words settle. The truth was in the open now, and for the first time, Rachel Maddow had nothing to say. The interview ended abruptly. Tulsi Gabbard stood up, removed her mic, and walked off stage. And within minutes, the internet exploded. Tulsi had just given the Democrats their worst nightmare.